Hi. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Relationship Talks with Adeze Adana. How are you all doing? I hope your day has been going on well so far. To everyone who has been liking our videos, sharing, and clicking on the subscribe button or the follow button, I want to say a very big thank you to you all. And for all of you who have been giving your feedback, I do not take them for granted. For those of you sending me messages, I am just so thankful that you all can trust me with certain issues that you all are dealing with. And by the help of God and with the grace of God, we know that God is going to perfect everything that concerns our relationships and our marriages. So today we will be talking about a topic that is most times overlooked, and the Spirit of God placed it in my heart so heavily to talk about this week. And for those of you who do not know, on Relationship Talks with Adeze Adana, we talk about God, we talk about life, we talk about relationships, we talk about marriages, how to make your relationship better, how to make your marriage better, how to resolve conflicts in your relationship or your marriage, how to be a better man, how to be a better woman, how to have a better relationship, and how to have a better marriage. All right. And we are always open to your feedback and questions. All right. So today I'd like to talk about neglect. And this is from a topic, I resolved. Someone sent me a message, in the course of the week, and the title of the message was "Help, My Spouse is Neglecting Me." So that's where the topic of this particular week's, broadcast is coming from. And when I responded to her, the Spirit of God laid it heavily upon me to make sure that I also do a video out of this, because there are a lot of people who are in the same situation dealing with the same issue. All right. So what is neglect? I'm sure somebody might be, it's basic, right? A lot of people might say, okay, neglect is when you're not paying attention to someone. Neglect is when you don't send someone, right? Like your partner doesn't send you. You just feel it. When you're being neglected, you yourself will feel it, right? And it would interest you to know that neglect is a form of emotional abuse. And there is no marriage that goes through emotional abuse that if there's no marriage that goes through emotional abuse that will not be a tool, like will not be in danger of divorce. Emotional abuse, as much as physical abuse is bad, emotional abuse is as worse. All right, it's also a tool, it's a form of abuse, and neglect is one of them. Okay, and you realize that because a lot of spouses are being neglected in their relationships or in their marriages, some of them begin to sink into depression. Some lose their sense of self-worth. Some become aggressive, and then ultimately, at the end of the day, if it's not worked upon, that marriage will not survive. And if it's a relationship, of course, they're gonna go their separate ways. And if it's in marriage, the chances of divorce becomes very high. So today, before I even go into ways that we can deal with neglect in a relationship or in a marriage if it occurs, I want to first talk about ways that you can be able to prove to yourself that your relationship with your spouse is going through neglect, or there is neglect present in your relationship or in your marriage. Oftentimes I would like to even start with an example. Let's say, for instance, you and your spouse, or you and your husband, or you and your wife, you're sitting down in the living room, and your wife walks up to you as a man, and she's saying, she wants to discuss something with you, or she's probably telling you something that she considers important, or she's probably even just trying to gist with you, and you are just not paying attention. You're just like, you're just into your phone, or you're just into whatever movie you're watching. You're just watching your TV, or you're fiddling with your phone. You're not paying attention. You're not even behaving as if someone is talking to you. If you find yourself doing that, you're neglecting your spouse. And if you're on the receiving end, you are being neglected. So that's like a typical example. And that's what I want to start today's discussion with. How do you know, your spouse is neglecting you? Number one, he doesn't want to argue with you. He's not fighting with you. A lot of us think that, not my spouse not fighting with me or arguing with me is actually healthy for a marriage. No, it's not. If you guys don't disagree, there's a problem in that relationship. The point is that you need to disagree respectfully to agree. Not that disagreements will not occur. Disagreements will definitely occur. But when they occur, you both have, you both are committed to respectfully, understanding each other's, point of view, and then coming to an amicable agreement. That is how you know a healthy relationship. But if you're in a relationship, your spouse doesn't want to argue with you, doesn't want to fight with you, or you have something that you're disagreeing with him about, and he's like, yeah, it's okay, whatever you say is fine. And you was like, it's not about whatever I say, it's fine. What do you think? Or you're trying to say, okay, this thing, I don't think this is working well. I don't think, this particular decision we've taken is working out well. And he's like, you know what? I think everything is fine. I think it's okay. Just do you, Once you see your spouse doesn't want to argue with you, doesn't want to, he's not even attempting to argue on anything. Everything you say is yes. If it's either your husband or your wife doing this to you, they are neglecting you. They've shut you out from their system. They don't want to engage in any discussion with you. They don't want to. People who argue, right, are people who are committed to that relationship. They believe they have, they've placed value on that thing, right? So, and we are talking about healthy arguments. We are not talking about just incessant arguments, unnecessary quarrel, and unnecessary bickering in a relationship. No. Just you disagreeing on some issues, not all issues. If you always disagree on all issues with your spouse, that's another problem, and that's not today's topic. Okay, but let's say on some certain issues, both of you are not agreeing on something, then you want to understand your partner's point of view, your husband's point of view, and as a husband you want to understand your wife's point of view, and then you both decide to say, okay, let's see who has the stronger argument, who has the weaker one, and then you both come to an amicable agreement where nobody feels like, oh, I'm being suppressed, my voice is not being heard. Okay, that's another sign to know that you are in a relationship, or you're in a relationship that neglect has taken its root in that relationship. All right, number one, he doesn't want to argue with you, or she doesn't want to argue with you. Everything you say is fine. Everything she has emotionally cut off. He has emotionally cut off. When they don't even see any reason to argue with you on anything whatsoever, no matter even if it's the tiniest thing, everything, they are just quiet in the house. Your marriage is under heavy emotional neglect. Number two, he's always into himself, always on his phone, always in his space, doesn't want to do no activities with you. He doesn't want to hang out with you. He doesn't want to do nothing with you. He doesn't want to go to church with you. Even if he goes to church with you, you can feel and perceive the distance. He doesn't want to be intertwined with you in any way. So he would rather have his me time. And when you ask him, like, no, I just feel like being alone. And he doesn't want it to turn into arguments. So he will not argue with you. Even if you try to say, oh, why are you not spending time with me? He'll be like, no, there's nothing. We're fine. I just want to do me. He has actually cut off from you, my darling. He has cut off from you. And if you're also a woman, if you're a man and your wife is doing that to you, she has cut off from you. When they are always on their phones have become more important to them than you. Understand that they have emotionally disconnected from you. Number three, they want to spend more time with their family members. They want to spend more time with their friends. They want to spend more time in the church. See, let me tell you something. For those of us that are in ministry, right? If you realize that your husband or your wife is deep into ministry and not spending quality time with you at home, your marriage is going under emotional neglect. If he comes home and all he wants to do is ministry, he goes to church, all he wants to do is ministry, he's looking for a way to escape from you. He's emotionally detached, and he has channeled his emotions into something else. Same goes for a man who is working. They will bury themselves in their work. They don't want to spend time with you. It's either they are spending time with their friends, or if they are, let's say for instance, leaders in church, they would rather stay in church counseling people for 24 hours than for them to come home and pay attention to you. Or they will spend the whole of their day in church, and then they know that, okay, when I come back home at 7 p.m., I have just few hours to sleep, and the next morning again, they go. They'll say, oh, ministry. No, when people value something, they spend time with it. If he's putting his mind into ministries, because that's where his value is at that time. If he's putting his emotions and his effort into his work, that is where his emotional strength is at that time. That's where his emotional focus is at that time. And if you have a wife and all she wants to do is hang out with her mom, hang out with her siblings, hang out with her friends, bury herself at work, or is just, always just looking for somebody else to spend time with, listen, your wife has emotionally disconnected from you. Some wives actually disconnect and put that whole attention to their children. When the kids are not home, they are out. Once the kids are home, they focus on the kids and they are not paying attention to you. That's another way you will know that your relationship is suffering from emotional neglect. Another way you can know that your marriage or your relationship, definitely your marriage is, this particular point, your marriage is going through emotional neglect, is when there is no physical intimacy. Your husband doesn't want to make love to you. He doesn't want to spend time. He's not connected. You try to initiate, physical intimacy, and he's avoiding you. And okay, your husband used to be physically active with you, and then all of a sudden this man doesn't desire you. No matter what you do weight loss, or nothing. You change your body shape, nothing. You wear everything, nothing. Once you get to that point, just understand that he has emotionally disconnected from you, and he is emotionally neglecting you. In fact, it's neglect. Okay. And same goes for the woman. Your wife doesn't want to make love to you anymore. Your wife doesn't want any intimate moment with you. Listen, that woman has emotionally disconnected from you, especially if you know that it's not something you guys have always struggled with. If it's something that, okay, right from the onset of the relationship or the marriage, you both have been dealing with days where she's in the mood, and some women are very active and some women are not that active. Some men, in fact, most men are very active. It's rare to find men that are not really sexually active, like their libido's over the board. It's rare because men are known to be sexually active. But for women, it's like it's not 100% thing or a 90% thing. It's still like a 50-50 thing, right? Some women flow to this side. They are active and love sexual intimacy. Some, they really do not. They are not really into it. So that's a different case. If that has always been the situation from the onset, this definitely doesn't apply, because we're not talking about something that has always existed. If it's something that you both were, always, your sexual intimacy level was very high. In a week, you guys will always, make love like 2-3 times, or even, let's say, even once a week or something. But at least, there was sexual intimacy. There was physical intimacy in that relationship. And all of a sudden, it has gone to once in 6 months. Your spouse has disconnected from you. There are so many signs to know that you are going through neglect in your relationship. But apart from us talking about, how to know that you are in a relationship that is going through emotional neglect, if you find yourself in this type of situation, what can you do? Number one, you have to make up your mind to talk about this with your partner. And you're not going to talk about it in a way that makes you look like a victim. If you make yourself look like a victim and they, the ones, hurting you, they are going to want to step back. They will still not talk, because understand that this person has emotionally disconnected from you. And if you are still the woman that wants the marriage to work, or you are the man who wants your marriage to work, then you know that, okay, we need to talk about this, since divorce is not on the table for us right now. We need to fix this. You will have to do what? You will have to be patient. find an appropriate time that your partner is willing to talk. If your partner is willing to talk, then both of you can sit down and talk about, what is it that has led you both to this point. I will continue in the video that I will release next week. Okay, we will continue this teaching next week, the part 2 of this particular teaching next week. Okay, and we will be focusing on how to handle emotional neglect in your relationship, because I do not want this video to be a very long video. I hope you enjoyed watching today's teaching. If you enjoyed watching it, please do not forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. All right, if you're on YouTube, please do me a favor by clicking the subscribe button. All right, and if you're on Facebook and on Instagram, please do not forget to click the follow button. God bless you all so much. And today I just want to encourage you, if you are going through all of this in your relationship and in your marriage, there is hope. With God, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. What he cannot do, it does not exist. And this year, listen, God wants you to have complete victory over every situation that you are dealing with. And I know that as long as you involve God and you handle issues with wisdom and you are patient, things will work out. Things will turn out fine. Okay, so I pray that the peace of God will be upon your relationship, the peace of God will be upon your marriage, and that the Lord will give you wisdom to be able to go through this difficult period in your marriage or in your relationship. Till I see you on the next video, stay blessed and do not forget to stay connected. God bless you guys.